Welcome back, everyone, for a longest lesson Cobra Kai Season 5 Watch Party. So, we are continuing our series with part 3 of why interest has dropped off after Season 5. Is it possibly because Netflix did almost zero marketing for the 5th season and has ignored the show ever since? I mean, yes, that is part of it. The marketing for Season 5 was very underwhelming. While it had a good moment with the debut of the teaser trailer, everything has been a step down. I follow many people who are big Cobra Kai fans but not part of the fandom, as it were. While they all watched Season 5 and loved it, their first reaction was always, I didn't even realize it was out.
And why is Netflix not promoting this show more? I don't really understand it.
It didn't help that other shows like She-Hulk and House of the Dragon and such were all taking so much of the attention. Previously, we looked at Episode 3 and Episode 4. Now, the season really takes off after that. Episodes 5 and 6 are great. Different people consider them the best episodes of the season. The problem is, just after those, everything takes a turn for the worst. Episode 7, Bad Eggs, kind of lives up to its name. Now, the episode has 3 separate storylines. The first is Chosen teaching the Miyagi Fang students to protect their eggs. The second is Cobra Kai training. This is subdivided into Kenny's training with Kyler and then Tori with Devin. Finally, you have Johnny and Daniel trying to get the info from Kreese. Now, from a distance, you could look at this and think there's not much wrong with it. This is somewhat true, except the problem is when you get in close. You see, these are really more like 3 separate scenes stretched way out into a full episode with an A, B, and C story. It's easiest to demonstrate with the training scenes. Look back over the entire run of the series. Almost any training sequence in the dojo is almost always just one scene. Only on a rare occasion did training consist of 2 scenes. Usually when you had 2 scenes in a dojo, it started with training and then it came back at the end of the training session. Scenes like this and this and this were all just one scene. One and done. Boom. Maybe there would be a separate training session in the same episode, but it wasn't part of a single story, or maybe there was also a montage. Certainly there have been plenty of those. But these training episodes here last almost the entire episode. It's really, really long and drawn out. The closest comparison would be Back in Black. Basically here, both Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do are in an extended lesson that spans a few scenes, but notice how it's broken up. The Cobras disperse to come back tomorrow. Sam and Robbie go home, and Robbie deals with his home life. They have other scenes before and after. But here, the entire storyline is caught up in the dojo in the training session. It feels slow, like we're at the dojo for so long. This is normally a fast-paced show, where you kind of wish there was so much more. But this episode is the exception. At some point where Silver is talking to Kenny, Chosen's passing out more eggs, and who knows what is going on with Kreese, Daniel, and Johnny. You just want to say, okay, let's get a move on already. Look at the Cobra Kai storyline. While it's so painstakingly drawn out, it is probably the best arc of the 3. Now it starts good enough. We have friction between Tori and Devin. Tori is working with Kreese to take down the dojo and Silver, just as Devin is trying to get more and more involved. Tori is looking out for her, but Devin doesn't know it. Now Kenny is pressing hard to be the best student, but encounters social pressure resistance from Kyler. It's a great character moment for both of them. It shows their determination, and that Kenny naturally follows whoever he sees as in charge. Upstairs, Silver and Kim decide that students need a lesson on leadership. Now, why are they upstairs watching on the monitor rather than down teaching the class? I have no idea, but whatever. So let the fighting begin. 2-on-1 with a leader and a follower. You gotta like the Kenny-Kyler matchup, mostly for Kyler's antics. It's perfectly in character and fun to watch, even though they get their asses kicked. Devin is clearly determined to prove herself and doesn't listen to anything Tori says, which leads them to a lot of hurt. Anyway, as the episode goes on, Kenny and Kyler are right back at it with more of the same. This is where it starts to get repetitive, because even though Kenny and Kyler are still fun to watch, and you can relate to Kenny, it is like the same thing all over again. So anyway, Silver calls Kenny to his office, and we get this heart-to-heart. And how much of the big bad boss or big threat Kenny can actually be I'll discuss in the next video, but it's worth saying that Silver tells him he thinks he could be the best in the valley, better than Miguel or Robbie or anyone. I mean, you could argue Silver is manipulating Kenny to get a reaction, but I'm sure this is meant to be genuine. I think that is the first big hurdle in this plotline. The audience isn't ready to accept that Kenny will surpass Miguel and Robbie or anyone. Kenny can believe it, but you can't. He may think he has what it takes to be the best fighter, but I know you don't. So there's a gap in the emotional journey. You don't feel what the character feels. Now, this scene is somewhat saved by the realization that Silver never assigned a leader, and the lesson is that ultimately the person who is the leader is the one who steps up and takes charge. I do like that lesson, so it's not like everything here is bad. So the rematch happens. Again, this is apparently the third time Kenny and Kyler get in there. Whatever, it actually goes pretty well and Kenny scores a point. That's all well and good. Now on the other side, Sensei Kim is chastising the girls for being weak or whatever. This is partially where I feel that she is starting to become a very one-note character, which is something I said in my season review. Either way, Da-Eun wants to get back in and doesn't care if they get their asses kicked. Then this exchange happens.
If we do this, you have to listen to me. That's what I've been trying to do since I got here.
What? Does she not remember where she ignored Tori and went straight for Sensei Kim? Or where Tori said go left and she immediately went right? How in the hell does she say,
that's what I've been trying to do since I got here?
Hold on a sec, wait, just wait. Let's see, Google. What is a psychopath? And oh, look, insincere speech. Yeah, and she didn't care if Tori get her ass kicked either. That may be an interesting question. So anyway, in the actual fight, Tori saves Da-Eun from a no-mercy blow instead of going for the point herself. I actually do like this end.
There are no points in the real world. But there are in this exercise. So you lose.
That's really important. You have to win the competition you're in. Here they were fighting for points. It's something to remember. Now over at Miyagi-Do, Anthony is unsure about training. I mean, 2 episodes ago he was eager to learn from Sam, but whatever. Sometimes it's like we start over in this show. Daniel and Johnny aren't there, which somehow even Sam and Robbie didn't know was the case. Chosen is teaching, okay, fine, it's about protecting eggs. The concept is fine, but as it comes across, it leaves a lot of questions. Now, how much time does he give them to prepare? Like, Dimitri assembles this whole device. Plus, most of them are just hanging out in the back. Like, you wonder, was Chosen watching them as they picked random hiding spots right in front of him? It's like they're not hiding at all. And how does no one ever see Chosen coming? Bert and Nate are in the middle of the small pond, for goodness sakes. Chosen somehow got into the water without them knowing. While 1 or 2 of these would be okay, it's always fine for a little creative license. The fact that almost every single one has something about it that doesn't make sense really starts to add up. Plus, again, it's drawn out. It starts with Dimitri and Hawk, then later in the episode wraps up with all the others. Then later still we come back to Chosen cooking eggs, and then finally we get the conclusion. This is exactly as I was saying before. It's really just one lesson. It should be like one scene, except it's stretched out over the whole episode. It has a sluggish pace. When I rewatched the season, this is the only time I ever felt like I just want to skip ahead a little. I don't, but I admit I feel it through these scenes. The ultimate lesson of working together is good enough. Some people said they don't like the lesson because it basically amounts to ganging up on someone and using brute strength rather than being thoughtful. I guess that's a fair point, but out of everything, it doesn't really bother me. It's mostly a lesson on teamwork. Now, the final story is Johnny and Daniel confronting Kreese about what Silver is up to. Like before, this is an example of a good scene that's stretched out almost the whole episode. The story itself is good, but rather short. It goes like this. Hey, Kreese, what is Silver up to? I won't tell you. Come on, I'll give you my lawyer. Okay, this is his plan. Psych! I mean, it's good. That's a full story right there. It's got a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's just not much for a full episode. It could just be a scene or 2 scenes. Still, the individual parts are still pretty good. I really like the flashback with young Kreese and Silver, but in the end, it's not enough to save the whole episode. So Bad Eggs is the first part of the 2-part drag on season 5. It's a slump in the back half of the season. The individual stories are good, but stretched out longer than they should have ever been. It makes the whole thing feel slow. You wonder how much longer. Get on with it. In the next part, we'll talk about the next episode, the Sekai Taikai, and what makes for a true bad guy. Have a great day. I'll see you at the next watch party.